Is perception one of the key causes of our defilements to arise? Is mindfulness the only way to identify and correct our perceptions? Is perception only is is perception, the word sanya, one of the key causes of our defilements to arise? Is mindfulness the only way to identify and correct our perception? Okay. Perception, sanya. Yeah. What is this sanya? Sanya here, sanya is always there, and yet we do not know it. Yeah. Like for example, you look at the eye sanya, let's say. You look at the person. How come you immediately know the person already? How do you know exactly the person is who they are? Just by looking at them. Because the sanya marks, it marks its form, the shape, the eyes, the shape, the hair, the way that the person move and so on, exactly who they are. Let's say from far, you see the person, you already don't know who is it coming, or who is it going, or who is passing through. Because the eyes mark on them already. The eyes already, all the shape and form and so on, is already captured onto it already. So for example, you listen to a music. The moment you listen to that music, because in the past, you already know that music. So in the present, when it happens, immediately you already know who is the singer. You know even the lyrics also. You know what's coming already. Yeah? Like for example, in the past, when you use not the mobile phone, you use the tabletop phone. You, when it rings, you do not know who they are. But the moment you listen to the voice, you exactly know who they are. Without nowadays mobile phone, before you hear everything comes out first. So those days you already know exactly just by listening to the voice, because the sound, the certain frequency, the certain sound, you know exactly who they are. You already mark the person because of that sound, who the person is already. Uh, uh, uh. Or even like you hear a certain sound, you know it's Chikada there. Very loud sometimes. Yeah. Talking about this sound, sometimes it's so loud that when it comes into the recording, sometimes you hard time sometimes even to listen to the talk also, because the sound is quite strong. Anyway, the perception here in our samsara, we always we always see things, hear things, smell things, and feel, touch, and think. All the 6 types of sanya that comes from the 6 sense stalls. The sanya here, it's where our defilement arises. We perceive, the perception, take note of a certain shape or certain sound or certain touch, feel. We perceive it by one of the 4 ways. We will perceive it in one of the 4 ways. We will perceive it as beautiful, one. We perceive it as permanent, number 2. We perceive it as pleasant, sukha, number 3. And we perceive it as self, number 4. Within all these 4 things, it makes your samsara go round and round and round. Because from this perception, the defilement arises. Because when you perceive the things beautiful, What is the next one? What do you think will come in? Then you perceive it. Then when it's beautiful, pleasant feeling arises. Pleasant feeling arises. What is the next thing? Then the craving or the attachment is there. No? Because we see it as beautiful. Or if you see it as not beautiful, then what happened? Then the unpleasant feeling arises. Then unpleasant feeling arises, then anger also arises. Yeah. Then anger arises, then thoughts can go on now, you know. So, or you perceive things as permanent. Or sometimes we have certain views and certain things we believe that soul or that thing is permanent. We like permanent. We like stability. We don't like things keep on changing. You want to go into a relationship with somebody, you will always the person keep on changing one, man. Beta, you know? No, you don't want that. We want stability. You buy a phone, the phone always keep on having problem one, man. You don't want that. We want a stable phone. No. So our mind somehow or another, we set in that certain tone already. And we don't realize it because it is normal to us. It's a very normal thing to us. From samsara, we carry this type of perception that we always also, in a way that we always look for pleasurable things. We don't want unpleasant. We want our life to be pleasant. We seek for happiness in life. That's what we've been taught now. We seek the type of worldly happiness. And even we know that thing, and it doesn't bring you to woeful states, rebirth in the woeful states, but it will keep you in samsara. You can do a lot of dana, but because you're happy, you like the happiness, you're reborn in a pleasant, happier planes of existence, but still in samsara. Yeah. Even the person who is able to do the jhana, he looks at jhana and so on, but he doesn't perceive the jhana whether it is permanent or not. But at the back of the mind, the jhana is like that. But it doesn't see it as non-self, it doesn't see it as, and so on. So he's still in the samsara, although it's much happier planes of existence. So the only thing that we can able to counter it, to counter the wrong perception, it's by the teachings of the Buddha, and especially on the non-self aspect, because the non-self aspect is where it makes the whole difference between teachings, worldly teachings, and what the Buddha taught, especially the non-self aspect. But the non-self aspect cannot arise if the aspect of anicca, dukkha, anatta don't arise, or anicca, dukkha don't arise. So therefore, to counter this perception, this wrong perception in our lives, that we're going through this samsara, is to able to, from wrong perception into a right perception. And then it means there are 4 right perceptions also, countering the wrong perception. What are the 4 right perceptions? The 4 right perception is totally the opposite of what I've said just now. We see what is not beautiful, the perception of asubha, non-beautiful, the perception of impermanence, to counter the wrong perception of permanence. The first one is the perception of non-beautiful, to counter the perception of what is beauty. And then the third one is the perception of dukkha, to counter the perception of sukha, pleasant. And then the perception of anatta is to counter the wrong perception of atta, or a self. And where do you think the changing of the wrong perception will take place? The only place that truly can change is within Vipassana, because in the Vipassana is all these four perception arises. Although the perception of the perception of dukkha is divided into two, dukkha and also asubha, non-beautiful. Yeah. So we combine it in we call it just dukkha. Yeah. But there are four perceptions. And only in the Vipassana that we can able to counter all this wrong perception. Out there, when we are thinking about the Dhamma and not meditating on the Dhamma, we are not doing Vipassana. And when you're out there, no matter how you think, you may think of it, yes. You may change certain perception, but you cannot change everything because the inner perception, the deeper ones, is not easier for us to change, because it's only you can change it through the way of Vipassana. Because every insight that you see, every moment of insight that you see, it's just not only what you see there, it's because you perceive it that these things is arising and passing away. And this thing is arising and passing away, you perceive it as, at that time, perhaps you notice it as impermanent. You see things as they are. So the moment that you see it as they are, then the wrong perception is gone at that moment of time. It's just like the light is there, darkness automatically gone. There's no like, you see the wrong perception slowly pass away, oh gone. No, you don't see those things. Because you see the right perception, automatically is there. Automatically that wrong perception is gone. You see the pain pulling here, changing here, right, twisting and so on. Perception of dukkha. Because at that perception of dukkha, that time perception of sukha is not there. As you go into the deeper aspect of dukkha, then we begin to realize that the deeper aspect of dukkha truly counter the perception of sukha, not just only in the pain. Even even that you start off with the insight knowledge of discerning of mind and matter. Even like discerning of mind and matter, you can able to see mind is one thing, and movement of your body, let's say, is another thing, rising, falling is another thing. You can discern them out clearly. Because you discern them out, that perception is the perception of anatta. It's not just because you see it, but it's the perception that comes in. You see it as anatta, and that time is only two. There's no the third factor. So it's a one aspect of perception of anatta. So that perception is you begin to change. You begin to undo a lot of all our wrong perception of the past, and slowly, we begin to see the truth, what is happening there. Then when it all matures, then enlightenment takes place. Yeah. So is it that the mindfulness is the one that penetrate this thing? Actually, not mindfulness. Actually, it's the wisdom. The penetration of mind is the investigation of Dhamma. But the wisdom here, it cannot arise if there's no mindfulness. Wisdom cannot stand alone. It needs mindfulness. But mindfulness also needs other factors like joy, effort. It needs tranquility. It cannot be like while noting and all other thoughts that keep on coming in. I cannot notice anything at all. So it needs all the other factors also to do their job. So the wisdom is the one that is penetrate into seeing things as they really are. That means whatever you see is slowly it changes our perception. But we don't feel that the perception is changed, because when we go back, Still same, nothing much yet. But we don't realize that it already doing its things already. In the beginning part, you don't see that much yet. As you go into a deeper and deeper insight, then you see how the perception is start changing. You slowly go into it deeper and deeper. You see that the perception will change much more stronger. Things that you see it as beautiful, or you see it as with a lot of attachment, now the attachment is going to reduce, not to say zero, but it's going to reduce in many ways. Slowly you will see things slowly. You will not like overnight there's change in our character. So it's the investigation of Dhamma, is that one is the which is the one that is discerning the thing.